Welcome to another My Little Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Bree. I'm here with my father, Gary.
Hello.
My mother, Shelly.
Hi.
And my brother, Bryson.
Hello.
We are going to get into questions and comments about our weekly peek that came out on Friday of last week. But before we get into that, a quick word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor, surprise, surprise, if you've been following My Little Podcast, is MyLittleHomestead.com merchandise store. We are known for our building stuff out of alternative materials, but little known fact, we also create unique designs, which is a great alternative to your wardrobe. See what I did there?
Good one.
Embrace the cute, colorful, and cool side of yourself with a MyLittleHomestead.com t-shirt, sweatshirt, mug, apron, and much more. Visit our website or the link down in the description. And of course, we always do that tongue-in-cheek because that's our store. You know.
Can you just act with your tongue in the cheek? I have such a special boo.
Can I get a new tongue there?
I just bit mine off trying to talk with it.
So I was trying to go over in my head what subjects that we covered. What?
Can I get a tooth on that shop engraved with something?
What?
So I could have like teeth
and
that
Bryson's
I have
out. He's
engraved,
way
like,
out. You know, we're very.
MLHN or something.
You can have your
Ooh.
teeth
That'd be
engraved
so
with gold.
He's so weird.
Grilled.
would
I
be
think they call
weird.
it grilling, don't they?
Ew.
They grill you. Okay.
Tattooed
Okay,
teeth.
moving on after that lovely image.
Sorry.
Thanks for that, bro.
Sorry.
I was trying to think through all the subjects that we covered in the My Little the weekly peek that we released. We did all kinds of really fun stuff. We had the light switch that we did for the grinder, the flour mill that we did. Made quite the stir, and we had a lot of fun stories that were shared off of it. And we'll get into those. We'll get into those real quickly. But is there anything that we would like to start with, subject-wise, here? Something that we really like doing, or
Can we just talk about my latest fiasco?
Well,
Let's
that would
let's
be
talk
good.
about the latest fiasco.
Okay.
Okay. I went to Garen's. I spent that time over there, and he expertly put together this rail and this bracket system that would fit on the wall. Okay, and he diligently listened to his father, explained to him the dimensions that he needed between the wall studs, so that when we put the flanges on, we could put them in the proper places. And diligently put them in there, expertly did it. Everything is within just a 16th of an inch. So I'm just like beaming. I think it's just such a great job. So I'm up there now going, hey, isn't that funny? The holes are not where I think they are. So I ended up doing the old nail thing where you put 500 nail holes in to find the one stud. You know, so I did that for a while. So now I have everything lined out approximately anywhere from 1 3/8 to 3 3/8 from the brackets themselves. I was close. Brackets won't fit on there, so I'm going to have to go over this afternoon and Garen's house and cut those off and put them on in the right place. He giggled. He thought it was funny.
It is funny. I mean, it's like inches off. It's not just like a. I'm like, well, you can just put another hole in there.
Well, think what I learned.
Yeah,
Think about
was
what
that?
I learned. I learned to trust Garen. That's what I learned. Don't trust yourself. Yeah, I learned that I need to be more precise with where. I mean, it's behind a wall, for crying out loud. How are you supposed to know where these things are?
I don't know. I just think it's funny because. I mean, that's the one thing you're really good at measuring it out. But this wall has always been a challenge for you because whoever, at least that bottom part, that built that bottom part, it was never any rhyme or reason to the way they put them. So I can
And this is
understand
part of the bottom part I'm dealing with.
Yeah,
I
I
have to
figured
admit,
it was because
so.
it doesn't follow the conventional every I don't know how many feet it goes.
No, it was probably some carpenter with one arm that was. Oh, by the way, if you're a carpenter with one arm, I'm not putting you down, but I don't know if he could pull a tape measure correctly. The guy that put this thing together, so he never built anything. Yeah, I never built anything.
What he used?
before.
Oh, he used his pinky to measure
I have no
everything.
idea. Cubits. He was dealing in
It was
cubits.
pinkets.
It was
Or no,
pinkets.
what did I call it?
Nozzles
that
by
nozzles?
one nose.
Nozzles?
By one
Nozzles.
noz.
One
Yeah,
noz.
that was
One
great.
Noz and a half.
Well, France 2107 had a wonderful story to add to the Garen story, or the Garen building section that we had. Garen reminds me of an uncle of mine. He never went out and bought anything that he could make himself. From pea bean cellars to lifts for his wife's mobility chair that he made and installed on it in his hatchback Toyota, he also invented some useful things for his RV and made and gave out plans to fellow RV travelers. And then months later, they appeared for sale in RV catalogs.
Oh, no.
People were constantly patenting his ideas as their own. He didn't really care as long as he was able to make something useful and economical for himself.
Oh,
I thought that was really cool.
that sounds cool.
That is cool. And sad at the same
It's
time.
cool and sad.
It's cool and sad.
Not really sure where to go with that. Well, you worked quite a bit on the cabinet. Not the cabinet. It's called
It's coming to you.
pantry. Pantry. It's called the pantry.
Yes. Yes.
You
the
worked
pantry.
a lot on it this week, putting in that flour mill and putting in our age-old trick of a light switch on there to get her started.
That's another thing that's kind of interesting. You know, I just figured if I could flip that motor the other way, it would fit in there better. Having forgot
Off
having
camera,
having forgot
Is
that I
this
put
true
it in.
confessions from
This
Gary
is-
this
true
morning.
confessions.
This is Gary's what not to do's. Okay, so anyway, it looks really nice in there, doesn't it? The 12
It
inch?
looks really
It
good.
really looks great,
Wow.
but it doesn't work. So, so I put the motor. I flipped it 180, thinking I was being real smart and getting it in there right. But now I'm not thinking about that. The mill turns in the opposite direction it's supposed to. So it doesn't grind anything. It just runs and doesn't do anything. So I have to figure out a way. And Bryson said, hey, you could pull this thing out and stick it in the other end and then put it in. So now I need to figure out how to pull that thing out and stick it in the other end and see if it works.
Or swap the polarities.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know
that
if
looks
all
a little more
motors work
technical.
I don't know if all motors work that way, but
I recall you, Dad, going, I should ask Bryson if he thinks that it will run the other way.
I
You
usually
must not
do.
have done that.
I usually do. But no, I did not.
And we needed that final shot of showing the grinder.
Yeah.
So
The
you can
pressure.
see the light switch flick on on the weekly peak, and the thing spins around, and then we kind of go into the top to see the berries. But there's no flour.
No
coming
flour.
Up. Is there
Yeah.
any comments to say where was
I
the
don't
flour?
think
Yeah,
anybody
that looks
noticed
cool.
it. I think it went past
It
everybody.
doesn't work. Of course, we didn't know that until after I get in there and Shelly's trying to grind up some more stuff. And
It's making a weird
Gary,
noise.
it's not
coming
working
out.
right. And I
Yeah.
go, what? And if I look and I go, crud, look at that going backwards.
actually dawned on me. Can
Yeah.
you flip the innards of the grinder?
Well, we can look at it, but I don't think so. I think the
I
plates
think
are
it's-
not the same plates.
Oh, so
It'd be
they're-
cool if I could.
okay.
I could flip the plates around, but I think they're designed to. I don't know. Let's look at that too.
That one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look at that too.
We'll
that
give
might
it a
be.
wee look.
Give it a wee look at there.
Give it a wee little
Yes,
peek.
we'll see. I
have
know
to
what it
flip
was. Some
the,
leprechaun got in there and switched it around on me.
You have to flip the spiral thing too that moves the grains.
He was in the pantry. It's probably the Lucky Charms guy got in there and screwed around with it.
Mm-hmm.
All
So
right.
the idea of putting in a light switch is definitely. We do it, but other people have had these thoughts as well for a lot of years. People were sharing their what they've done or what their parents did for them with the light switches. G Nubyum. Sorry. Said, when I was a kid, the connection from the front to the boot door of our car broke. So the switch for the windshield wipers in the back didn't work. My dad fixed it by attaching a long cable and a light switch from a desk lamp to the windshield wipers.
Oh.
You had a light switch in the truck
you
one
did.
time.
I
What
did.
was that for?
The
To start
starter.
Yeah.
By the way, he said boot, so that must mean he's from the UK.
Oh, it was in the boot of the car.
Boot of the car. That's the
Oh.
trunk. We call trunk. It
cute.
was, it was his trunk. So it didn't
I
work.
like boot.
Interesting.
Open the boot, my dudes.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Or the dead guy found in the boot.
It's found in
Yeah,
the boot.
that's in the movies.
Oh,
You always find.
Wow.
Oh, wow. From
that
those
turns
sections.
serious.
Sorry.
Whoa.
On
Too
another
many-
thought,
We went to some darker
I
Too many
cinema there.
007 movies lately, I guess.
Oh,
Oh.
007.
I always
right,
thought,
okay.
those light switches, you can turn your lights dimmer or not. Like you can turn the knob and
Yeah.
you can shut them off and dim it.
Yeah.
I always thought that would be really cool to wire that up to a motor. And then you have a variable speed motor.
Yeah, they call it a rheostat. Don't they already have that?
Oh, I'm sure
no,
they
not as
do, but
fancy
it's
as
not.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're building a lathe, that would be a perfect thing to use.
It would be. You could
Put
use
in there and then you just adjust the
Just
speed
find
of your
yourself a
lathe.
Jaguar somewhere and pull it out. Mercedes?
Okay, so blooming.
Maserati?
Oh.
Lamborghini?
Lamborghini?
Lambo.
What's a Lamborghini?
Lamborghini.
It's a cooler
I want
than the
one of a
lamb.
kind
It's a ma'am.
car.
Oh, it's a Lamborghini for a girl. It's a Mamborghini.
Oh, for a ma'am.
Yeah, for a ma'am.
I like it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Blooming
I
in
don't know.
Space said, love your light switch fixes. It was, is, and will always be the fix of choice in our family. When I was a child, before safety features were on appliances, my dad saw me reach into the still turning dryer to grab a towel. He realized I was not tall enough to reach the knobs to have it turned off. The next day, there was a switch in the front face of the dryer.
Oh, I love that.
That's great.
Kid friendly. That's
Yeah.
Child-proof my dryer. There you go.
so cute. We did the same thing with our dryer because you guys couldn't reach, remember? So we lowered the clothesline.
That's right. And they're even lowered to this day.
That's true. The dryer was too high for them, so we had to
we
lower
lowered
it. to
Yeah.
them.
It's
It-
still low. We
Yeah.
never
It's
moved
still
it up.
low.
Also,
Yeah.
It'll be ready for the grandchildren.
I feel like it.
Now, speaking of the clothesline, we have to tell.
Oh, no, we can't
Not
tell our
yet?
secret yet. No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
We have a secret.
Dad and I are going to challenge you to a race of hanging clothes.
Oh, my
Because
gosh.
Dad and
Clothes
I
off.
figured out a
Oh.
system when we think we're
Oh,
so.
I
These
already-
two,
I
they come
already
in
know.
all pompous, like we
Sorry.
have the coolest way of hanging laundry. Oh, I'm not supposed to go into it. Okay, all right then.
We're
Oh.
challenging you. We're challenging
Okay,
you.
Bryson.
Oh, challenging you.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
thought you were,
Bryson,
you were
yeah.
challenging me.
Both
or
of
me
you.
and Bree.
Has
But
to
okay,
be
so
two.
I have to. In
We
order
have
for this
weigh
to be
it, though,
fair,
and
though.
make sure that there's enough clothes and
No,
same weight.
in order to be fair,
What?
it has to be both a load of like towels.
Yeah, we have to
It
have the
has
same
to be
number
the
of
same
things.
kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Towels is a good idea. We can even count them.
Because if
and-
we're gonna do lights, we're gonna be there longer, regardless of our method.
One for you, two for you, one for me. Two for you, one for me.
But what happens if I said I already know your secret?
Well, you don't know our secret.
We've changed it. It may be something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Are you spying on us when we're hanging clothes?
No, I just remember you coming in and said, Bryson, we have the greatest way of hanging laundry.
We do. We actually just take the whole load and throw it at the line, and hopefully it sticks somewhere. That's the fastest
Dad puts
way.
them on the back of the goats and they run around, dry them.
That's it. Yeah. Broom, broom,
I just
broom.
use the
Superman
beehive.
One handles our internet with
They
his
create a
horn.
bunch of wind and
The
it just
beehive.
Exactly.
It's very nice.
Nice.
Very,
It's hard to
very
train the
nice.
bees to do that. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
Do they work for honey?
Yeah, they do.
That they produce
They do.
themselves.
No, I grab it from the other hive.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the other hive produces
Yeah,
the.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But then I give them sugar, of course. You know,
Oh,
I gotta have
you're-
their sweetener.
You're a nice beekeeper.
All right. Nicole Hopper asks, "Is the brand of rolled oats 1 degree?" I love their cereals, and it looks like they're labeled, but I can't read it on my screen. Is it 1 degree? What was the brand of oats that we?
Phew,
that-
that's
the
cold
sprouted
oats.
Is
1
it 1
degree.
degree?
Yeah, it's cold.
Was
Or
it 1
one,
degree?
One Direction.
Yeah, I think
And
it
they
was.
sing when you eat. It's just fun.
Go
A
ahead,
boy
Mom.
band.
Yeah, I think it was the 1 degree. And I looked to see. I didn't really see any other brands out there for that particular one. For sprouted oats, that is. I didn't see anything else out there. I think
Yeah, we looked.
I don't know if they're the only ones who do it, but
One
wow.
Direction organic.
1 degree.
1 degree.
One degree.
Direction. One
Organic,
degree.
gluten free. Someone asked
Gluten-free.
me about it
Oh
being
yeah,
gluten
so
free.
that's what we're gonna
Gluten-free.
lead
Oh,
into
okay.
here. Living life with Mama Wendy asks, "Does anybody know why she can't, meaning Mom, eat grains unless they are sprouted? Is it a gluten intolerance?"
Actually, I don't know if you say that I had Crohn's or I have Crohn's. I think it probably would come back, but I just haven't had to deal with any of the symptoms of Crohn's. It's all by changing my diet, and I've changed it for years and years. So even if I go, so that's why. I read a book. It was called Breaking the Vicious Cycle, and the lady who wrote the book just went through how the process, someone who has Crohn's or other sort of digestive issues, that's where I learned about the breakdown of the complex carb and how that was potentially a problem for me. I wasn't sure until I tested it, and I was a little bit surprised because there's a lot of really good foods that I would consider, that you eat. You have potatoes and you have oatmeal. You have these foods that are known to be healthy for you, and you eat them. thinking that, you're eating good. And then, so when I first learned of it, it was like, wow, is that really the case with me? But I had to do something because I was so sick. And so I went ahead and tried it out. And sure enough, I was feeling well within just a few days of taking out complex carbs. It's not all carbs.
Does it change the gluten content when you sprout?
I don't think so, because I think there's still gluten in sprouted flour, wheat, sprouted wheat.
How do you remove gluten though from
It's
something?
not
like
easy
that?
because it's a natural part. I thought of it's a.
I know that's
Is
a
it
big
part
deal
of the
now.
kernel of
Yeah.
a seed or something? I wonder whether you get
Don't
gluten out.
know. I don't. I thought it was
you
just a natural
gluten-free people,
occurring.
help us. We have a friend that does gluten-free stuff. We should ask her.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who need to have gluten free.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, and the question is, if it sprouts, even if there's gluten in there, is it still digestible? That would be an interesting quandary. Because I think if you go gluten free, I don't think the options get extremely limited. I think on what you can consume.
Yeah, and when you have a sprouted wheat berry that has gluten in it, how come a sprouted oat berry has gluten in it or doesn't have gluten in it? I wonder how that. I don't know the chemistry of all that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of look into it and see.
Does the gluten break down with the sprouted?
I just don't know.
And maybe the
Well, the
people
sugar
who-
content has changed. It goes from
and maybe 1 degree. Is it 1 degree that does
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Maybe they somehow
gluten
take out the gluten as well after they sprout too. I don't know. That would be an interesting.
Do
be an
oats
interesting
naturally
quandary.
have gluten in them?
that makes
I
them
don't know.
gluten-free real
All
easy.
of these
doesn't it?
questions we
Because,
raised.
like-
I know.
no
all
answers
of a
I
to
sudden
think
now
it
I have
does.
a lot
All
of questions.
grains have, grains and nuts and so on like that have.
Interesting.
I even heard today that was interesting. They found a report on a guy that he would eat complex carbs and he would act drunk almost, and he would get these he would slur or he couldn't walk straight, like just drunk symptoms, and they did some studies on him, and his stomach was actually brewing and causing an alcohol content.
Fermenting.
Yeah, it was fermenting in his stomach when he ate.
Oh,
I believe
wow.
it was complex carbs that he was eating that were causing some of those symptoms to him. It was very interesting.
Maybe they just weren't digesting. And
Maybe
were
they
sitting.
just
It
weren't.
must have been a
actually
gas
know
problem like
another,
you couldn't believe.
the first people that we bought when we lived in the city and we were buying raw honey from that farmer, his daughter, she claimed, the mom claimed that had the same problem where she would get almost drunk from eating complex carbs.
It's kind of interesting when I do my words slur and I get really
I could see
tired.
that.
Like you wonder.
But it's
I
not
can see that.
drunk.
It's not
I doubt
drunk,
it. I
though.
doubt it is.
I doubt it is. But it's just
But
interesting.
I could see some sort of fermentation potentially happening. I mean,
Yeah, but doesn't that take a period of time? And
it does.
Yeah.
It has to
It
sit
does.
in your
But like
system
5
or
days is
something?
enough to make.
it takes me
small
10
amount,
days
but-
to be able to
Oh,
digest
can you
my
imagine?
food.
I don't know. That's just weird,
No,
isn't it?
that
I mean, it's
doesn't-
interesting. It's an interesting thing for sure.
Maybe he was slowly sipping on the side or something.
Yeah. Let's see, a little bit of oats, a lot of
No,
vodka.
Maybe he
I
replaced his
haven't been
milk
drinking.
with.
It was just this bread.
Yeah, it's just beer bread. It's just beer bread,
Honey,
not
I
cooked.
could-
Honey, I
I
was
eat
sent home today
cereal.
from work
didn't
after
eat-
lunch. Why? Oh, they thought I was drinking.
Off
You know
the
what?
bread, off the sandwich.
Tequila tastes great in cereal. I don't know what you guys brought.
All right.
boy.
So we had some quandaries. Speaking of
Quandary.
quandaries,
Quandary.
that's been my word today. Is quandary.
Kerfuffle.
And you know
That's a
what?
good word.
What other word is
Quandary.
to snooze? To de-snooze something or to de-snoozify something. It's my new thing.
Yeah.
Like if you de-snoozify the baby, you've woken it up. Or maybe you have
You de-snoozified your alarm by turning it
Never.
off?
and
I see.
maybe
Never
you're-
wake a sleeping baby.
and then like if you're trying to de-snoozify something might also to make it more interesting. So if you have a snoozer on your hands,
Yeah.
you have to de-snoozify it,
I know when I'm sick,
Now, is
I've
this
got to
a-
de-snoozify my nose all the time.
de-snuffify it.
Desnuffify. I'm just blowing your nose.
But the snoozer.
You can put a D on just about anything.
Yeah,
can't you?
to de-snoozify. Anyway, that's my
Defunner.
newest word. I've never
Defunner?
seen it.
To de-snooze.
I feel like I've invented something, but
A new word.
I know that if I look it up, somebody out there will already have a definition
Oh,
and everything
yeah.
for it. So I don't want to crush my own dreams. But anyway,
Some guy's gonna write in. Yeah, I've been using that one for years.
the intimidating G journey Wait a minute, you put an automatic transmission fluid in your oil? I never knew you could do that. Did I see that right? And was that a fluid filter or an oil filter?
It was just a funnel. The oil was just a funnel.
No, you had the two different
The two
size.
filters.
You had the
filters.
two.
Oh.
And you said, it should fit.
Yes. So I just got a higher mileage filter, so it was just bigger.
Oil filter?
Oil filter,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was an oil filter.
And then I was unsure about that too because my grandpa comes up to me and goes, "Yeah, we used to just take a quart of ATF fluid and pour it in there, and it'll loosen up everything in the engine and get it lubricated and stuff." And I was like, "What? I hear him right? Like ATF fluid transmission oil is what I'm thinking you would put in your engine? Like that doesn't sound right." But then I talked with my uncle, and he was like, "Yeah." And then I talked with my brother-in-law, and he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "What?" So I looked it up, and they said, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, let's do this." So
And now your car's not running.
You know, so in a
No, it
pinch,
is running. I'm just
In
in a pinch, if you
yeah,
had
no, it's good.
ATF, you could chuck it in there.
If you've got like some sticky lifters or anything. Although from what I'm hearing, it's maybe not a sticky lifter, and it's still kind of going on. So I'm thinking it's probably not. So now let's move on to the next step on that. But from what I hear, it does work really well to kind of loosen stuff up.
The one question that I know me and you were talking about was, you would think that it has you were telling me that ATF fluid has a low burn rate or something like this, a high burn rate or something. I don't know how you'd say that.
So
but
Flash-
you
flash
thought it might
point?
burn
Flash
off or
point
something.
is lower on it, and that also concerned me a little bit. Like if I put this in here, is it going to turn to charcoal and clog stuff up? Do the exact opposite of what it should be doing. I don't really know where that flash point is for ATF fluid. I know that when we use it for drilling, because sometimes when you're drilling with drill bits, if you use normal engine oil, it doesn't burn as quick, and if you use ATF fluid, it immediately starts to burn. So I know that flash point's a little higher for that, or lower, actually, I think is what it would be. And it's a good. We use it all the time for drill bits because when it starts to smoke, you know your drill bit's getting too hot, and you can back off. It's a really good way to tell.
It'd be interesting though to figure out, like, there were some people that were like, "Hey, you should change it after running it for a while. You should change the oil again." One
okay.
person said that, but most people
Okay.
were like, "Whoa, you can do that," just like you were. So
Yeah, I
it
think-
is an interesting.
I think you treat it just like a normal engine fluid cleaner that you would put in there. I think you can actually buy different kinds too for it. But yeah, I think in a little bit we'd probably want to replace it. I think
Probably just.
that
'cause you
sounds like a
can,
good
maybe.
idea. I like that idea. But run it for a little bit, loosen stuff up, and then
Now, Edna Richardson said, "Where did you get your camera used to look down into the car engine?"
I got it off of Amazon. It was like $25, and I was like, "What? You know what? Wait, what?" Yeah, I found out the name is called Borescope, is what they call them, and a bunch of companies, different things connect to it. I was like, "It connects to my phone. I can make videos with it. What? Let's do this."
It makes pancakes?
I know, but actually, later I did find out that it does record video, but the video is stored on the device, and I can't get it off. So the way I did is I recorded my screen on my phone while I played the video on my phone to get it over.
Oh.
But that particular camera that I had didn't actually like store it on an SD card or anything. So I was hoping I could save the footage off onto my phone, but there was no option to do that.
Here, have some footage, but you can't go anywhere with it.
I know.
Thanks for giving it to us.
It's
Live
mostly
only.
for it's mostly
One-time show.
it's mostly for live when you're doing pipe work or something and you're trying to find a leak or anything like that. It's
Or
for
when you want to
live.
look inside your engine. So
Or yeah, it's supposedly waterproof too, but haven't tested that. I don't know.
is it oil proof?
I guess so. If it's waterproof, it's oil proof, right?
Dun dun dun.
I don't know. Probably not.
Well, you know, I did find though I kept having to clean the engine the
Lens.
Yep.
lens off because as I would put it in there, one of the cylinders wouldn't be set right. And I didn't have the right size socket to turn the cylinder over manually. So I'd go into the car and I'd turn it over slightly until the cylinder opened up so you could see it, you know. And it kept the fuel injectors kept ejecting, fuel, and it would make the area misted in there and it would mist up the camera. So I had to keep cleaning it off and then they're cleaning it up. But yeah, it was a fun adventure. I had like 20 minutes of footage. It was- but too
well,
much.
that's great. That was,
It was
a
a
fun
lot of
little.
fun.
That was a fun one for sure. Barbara Harper says, "Bryson, have you ever used the broomstick trick to locate sounds on an engine? No joke. Although it kind of looks weird, it really does work. put the dowel rod on there, on where you think the sound originates on the engine, while it's running, of course. Then put your ear on the other end of the stick. Ta-da! Try it. Not pulling your leg, really.
It is actually amazing. My brother-in-law, when he came down, he showed me that. He was like looking around. I was like, "Do you have a stick? Anything will work. I just need a rod of some kind." And I just watched him. He's like putting it against the engine. And I was like, "What is he doing?" And then he's like, "I think it's right there." And he points. It's right there. It's right there. And yeah, me and Dad were out doing it with the Bronco. We could tell exactly where.
Do you remember that old
amazing.
Delta 88 that I had when
Really
you and I
is.
first
That
met?
truck is very cool.
Marge the Large Barge.
Yes.
I had an old Delta 88, and I saw some guy, he asked me who I was selling it to, "Hey, do you got a broomstick?" So yeah, we did. We gave it to him, and he was listening to it and stuff, doing the same thing. It's so funny.
It's amazing. And if you like really listen, you can hear everything.
Yeah.
You could tell if something's not running smooth.
If the radio's on, you can sing to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing you have to be careful is your engine rocks. Then it's like,
Get it caught in the fan. That's just always a problem. Right?
your head's kind of rocking back and forth. Don't want to jam it in your ear. That's what that'll
Yeah,
hurt.
just to clarify too and give you a little insight, when Bryson says brother-in-law, you may not be aware of that. Gary has a daughter from a first marriage. Her name is Jocelyn. I don't know if she's been on. I don't think she's been on film before. Just a sweetheart. She's married and her husband Eddie. She has a couple kids. Eddie is a diesel mechanic. His father was a diesel mechanic. Both of them own a shop up there in Oregon, and so he's been around engines his entire life, and he's excellent. They came out and visited in Thanksgiving.
Really cool.
We were excited.
Oh,
They
so
came
excited they came.
I think he even fixed something on my car while he was here.
Yeah,
too.
he
Eddie
brought
did.
his truck, and
So,
it was the
yeah.
coolest truck, and it had the coolest places to put
It did.
stuff.
Well, I learned about a really cool mechanical wrench, I think is actually what you'd call it.
Yeah.
And it's battery operated instead of air operated. And
Yeah.
it's really nice.
Yeah.
I had to get
Yeah.
Darren one of them for his B-Day.
We got to spend time with
That's
our
fun.
2 nieces too. That was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Oh,
hanging out
that
with
was a lot
them
of
and
fun too. Yeah.
Made stuff. They helped us make the dinner and everything. That was a fun.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and when Gary was going through cancer, Jocelyn was right here, lickety split. She was involved in everybody taking part in figuring out how what Gary was going to take to heal, and she was it was like she just fit right in the moment she arrived. She was just
did.
one of us, so it was great to have her.
That was a
too.
lot of fun.
That's
Cool
my
to
baby.
have her.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, she was instrumental, part of the support.
Yes,
to get us
she
there,
was.
so.
it was a big part. Yeah.
Okay, so Audra Flors asks, do y'all still sing together? And yes, we do. We actually just released, around Christmas time, we all sang some Christmas carols.
That's right.
Yeah, so, and I, dun 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 dun.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Segue to
I'm
this
losing
segment.
my mic. Speaking of it, it doesn't want me to sing. Hang on one second. I'm not going to sing. But hold on.
Do you want me to sing while you're doing
Hold
that?
on. I got no.
Oh, it's going to break.
Okay, I'll just hold it here for a moment.
Shush.
Wait, wait.
What are you doing there?
It's coming off. It's coming off. Intermission. Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
Dad,
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Dad, hum for a little while.
No. I just bought a ukulele.
Yeah.
I know. I'm
She's on a roll.
I'm on a roll here. I bought a dulcimer, which I may or may not have broken a string on. And
Yeah, she broke a string, and then she's like, "Oh, I got to play something." So then she orders a ukulele.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
and the string.
a stringed instrument in her hand. She's like, oh, I'm not alive. I must be dead.
I'm having a lot of fun with that, though. My goodness. My original plan was to buy. They're cheap ukuleles, by the way. I was shocked, but they're a small instrument. I guess it's But anyway, I wanted to refinish the face of them, the face and the headstock for it, and do something really fun. But when it got here, it's so pretty. I don't think that I could deface it. You know what I mean?
It's not
Yeah.
defacing. It's making it art.
Yeah, but I just don't know.
I tell you what, let me get in there and scrape and scrunch it up, and then it won't,
And then
feel
I'll
so
feel
new.
good.
And you'll say, I got to cover that up.
I can
so.
solve that issue real quick.
Yeah. Can of spray
gosh.
paint. We're
Paintball
done.
gun.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hold it up there, Dad. I want to throw something else at it.
I can't get any ideas in my head where I go, oh, this design would totally make it better. Okay, I did have one though. I thought it might be kind of fun to do a galaxy for half of it, kind of fun, and then like a a blue sky with clouds on the other half, and kind of make it fun. And I wanted to do the background. I wanted to try spray paint gradient on the back of them. But I find myself fighting internally with my
Confuddled.
I'm confuddled.
Confused and
If
befuddled.
if you think of a design though for it, let me know, because I'm
just
open.
give it a little time. And you'll
Destussified.
I'll be like, I'm bored of it.
Wait,
Let's do something.
I haven't played it yet, so when I play it, after I'm done with it, you'll want to put something on it.
Yeah, I
know-
know that
Hey,
I
look,
break
I
strings,
can make
but
a
you're
bass out of it.
notorious.
I can make a base out of it. Huh, isn't that cool?
I kept thinking the nylon 3D filament that I print with, the 3D filament,
Yeah,
is like the exact same size.
as a base.
And I kept telling Bree
Yeah.
for her nylon strings, she should stretch the nylon filament out to the right thickness
3D filament
and
for your
put it
strings.
on.
I'm
It
sorry.
might work.
You couldn't
think it
hear my
would.
eyes rolling, but
I think it
I
would.
really I appreciate it. In like, I like that it's like can do, and I love it. But then they're different sizes, like the
Yeah,
nylon.
thicknesses.
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
just
just
stretch
stretch
them
it. So
to
then
the
we
right
have.
thickness.
Speaking of minute measurements, you'd have to figure out what's 1s or however they do the measurements of this. Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
No, we could do that, and then
Why don't you just 3D printer a whole set?
Now, what I do like about it
work.
is you can buy 3D filament in any color, and it'd be kind of fun to do like fun colors.
You can get nylon in different colors too.
Now that'd be fun.
I might be able to roll with that one.
And I think if you take nylon, and it sounds crazy, you want to do this after.
Can't
the,
imagine
before you
doing
print,
that. Can you
but-
imagine? Oh, that sounds tedious. If
No,
you
it
do it,
doesn't.
Bryson, I'll use them.
Well,
but it
if you
just
think
sounds
about it,
tedious.
You just set up a roller system on either side to roll the filament up, and then you just have a pair of calipers, right? You roll it a little tighter, test the thickness, roll it a little tighter, test the thickness, roll it a little tighter,
my
and then you get your nice string the right size,
worked too.
cut it on both ends, now you have your string, you put it on your
You could take
band
1 foot of filament and make 3 feet out of it.
You could think about it. You would
How
never
economical
ever
is that?
run out of filament. You buy one roll, you can get a multicolored roll,
It could
so
last
it's a
for
bunch of different
100
colors.
years.
It would last you years.
The wood would decay long before the filament was used up.
I'll wager that the
great
strings are
idea.
only like $2, but oh boy. Let's
No,
make them.
No, that's not
we
the point.
saved $2.
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is you do it so you can have custom-made strings. So it's different colors. They're different things. That's really the point. I like
I commend it, but at the same time, I'll commend
Condemn it.
I'll condemn it. I condemn and commend.
that. You know what? They probably have different colored strings online.
They do. They have those too.
You
But
can
they're
dye
like-
filament really easily.
have-
I
they
just
have-
learned about that.
Oh,
Nylon?
really?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't? Okay, now this would
Now she's
I might
getting
be able to
interested now.
get
Or I
the
think you can dye it.
white
I'm not
nylon
sure, but-
strings, that
Okay.
you- and then dye them.
See, I think you can dye them without that RIT dye we used to dye clothes. I think you can do something similar with the nylon filament.
Okay, I can roll with that.
I'm not sure though.
This I can roll with. Okay.
Am I low?
I think so.
Oh.
Test.
Oh, he's got it. Dad's like, hey, I got
That's
it.
like,
Hey,
got
I run the sound here.
I was just looking at the little thing. It just looked like he wasn't really coming through.
Yeah. When you guys pull your mouths
bad.
away from the microphone.
I'm sorry.
then-
Are you the
Oh.
sound guy? So Millie Mill said, "Did any of the kids go to college, or are any of them interested in going?"
College of Hard Knocks, maybe.
And we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but real quickly, the kind of jobs that we have chosen to go about doing, we can find all the information and more for the learning, online for free and from people that have done it. Like for me, I know if I wanted to really get into my artwork even more and really practice and get super, super good at it, I know for cheap I can get courses online that are they're taught by people in the industry that have done it for years and years and years and years. There's so readily available that information, and because I'm not going to work for anybody, I'm working for myself. I don't really need a degree to hire myself. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I sit with just about everything. I know that there is, and I know maybe you might want to say something too, Bryson, on it. But for me personally, that's kind of the way what I've settled on. I don't really need it.
Yeah.
I can
And
get that
there's-
information.
there's some things that are nice to have hands-on experience Like, for example, you don't want to learn how to fly a plane online. You know, you need the hands-on experience. So obviously there is a place
You could
to
once.
go
Yeah.
like for that. Like even machine shops and stuff like that. Sometimes you're dealing with really expensive equipment, and it might be nice to know how to operate that. And so there is places where it would be nice to go and get trained for a certain task.
Well, like a surgeon, you can't be
Yeah.
into that kind of doctor of medicine stuff without the kind of training,
But
or a
like-
lawyer, or some of those other fields,
Yeah.
engineers.
But like I remember me and Mom, we were like, we wanted to know Python for some reason, the programming language Python. So we found a course, we bought it, and we learned it. And I even built a little app. I remember now that I built for our streaming service. It would swap through. We were playing a game, and we wanted a randomizer to randomize our characters, and I built that. It worked. It worked well. We used it for a
really
while.
well.
But yeah, so
Plus, we're kind of a family of researchers.
yeah.
You know, we'll spend as much time researching a topic as we will building it, or sometimes more,
yeah.
just so we understand its application, how it's applied. And we've never been one for, school. Mom and I did the school thing and stuff like that, college and so on. And
There's some basic things.
I think
things
it's
that really
difficult
need
in
to be
our day
learned.
and age because the internet has hastened education, and you can learn something so quickly that I know you guys talk about
mind-boggling.
it'd be difficult to sit in a college class for 3 months, a quarter, and learn something that you could learn within 2 days.
here's what would happen. We would go to school, they would say something, we'd go home and research it, and the class would be boring.
That's
Yeah,
trying to
it's- so
take it,
we're
so-
kind of in a
And-
different time. I think different time in history.
Yeah.
I do think that obviously online educations, or I'm sorry, college educations are. I would imagine you can name off several things that they're still very good for, but there's just a lot of options out there, and we are. All of us, everybody in our family, absolutely loves to learn, and there's just nothing like the internet when it comes to learning things. It's a fabulous resource.
Yeah, you don't have to. Especially, I can imagine too. You're going to go in for a quarter for a class, and maybe you don't like the teacher. Maybe the way the teacher teaches, you're not really catching on to the subject. When it comes to online education, I can switch teachers within minutes of time until I find somebody that I'm understanding, or that communicates the subject in such a way that I can really catch on to it as well. It's so personalized. Learning is so personalized to the individual. It's unbelievable. So yeah, for so many industries, I think that internet really and
It is
learning
unbelievable.
online is really blowing things out of the
You know-
water.
You know,
Very-
too,
I
I
agree.
think it's just if you spend time with a topic, like I started in training others, in my career. Then I went to being a training manager for a while and still doing both jobs. And then I started my own business and became a senior instructional designer from that. So I was writing curriculum and keep writing. Pretty soon, you just spend enough time doing it, you become the senior because you've had that much application, that much knowledge by doing. And that's a white-collar job. That's not a blue-collar. So not all blue-collar jobs can be learned. All white-collar jobs don't have to be learned at school. They can be done by time. And sure, maybe I would have gotten to a senior 5 years sooner or 10 years sooner, but it just, you apply yourself, you keep working hard, people start recognize you. Pretty soon they say, okay, we need you as a senior instructional designer. Boom, there you are. And then your career opens up from there.
I know I learned a few things just recently I've been studying is how you search. And it's interesting because the terms you search on will bring up completely different results. And if you don't know quite what you're learning about and you search on something that's a little off topic, you'll get results that are off topic and you won't learn exactly what you want to learn. So just searching things and making sure that your words that you use for search engines and stuff are good, valid search terms of what you want.
Yeah, it's like you need a tiny little mini crash course on, okay, this is the term for this is the term for that, go research.
Yeah, exactly. That would be so nice.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
would be
right,
so nice.
Bryson. You part of the learning online is learning how to search things. I mean, there really is a talent, not a talent, but a
skill for that.
a skill for being able to bring up that information. You're absolutely right, Bryson.
And sometimes you can be researching stuff that isn't even out there yet. I'll have like
So many
theoretical
times.
ideas that I'll try to search on to see if someone's done it. I can't find anything on it. and or it's called something different. It's
Yeah.
under a different name, and it has been done, but it's just under a different name.
You know, I kind of had this similar experience. I don't necessarily want to brag about it, but we started getting into video when you and I first got married, and we bought this Sony VX1000 camera. It's a 4-chip
Big
camera.
old
They were
camera.
quarter chip camera, red, green, and blue, and we were all excited about it. But there was no digital. There was a digital camera. There were no digital softwares and digital hardware out there to actually run this thing when we bought it. So we started doing research. We started talking to a digital expert in town, and pretty soon I walked in there and talked with him, and it's like we knew as much or more than he did about the topic, because you just get into the research, you get into the knowing and looking, and you become as good or good as others that are in the field by just being diligent in your research and applying and asking questions and keep moving forward on it. It doesn't take long to get a grasp of that content and that knowledge and be an expert.
Yeah, and I would even say too, like, it matters if there's a difference between you wanting to learn something and you just learning something. When you want to
Good
learn
point.
something, that knowledge sinks in like nobody's business.
Agreed.
When you want to learn something, you can learn something twice, if not even 3 times faster than when an ordinary person could learn something. When a person who's not really wanting to learn that subject, but they're just they're
How
just
many
a part of
classes
it.
in college I took, it just bored me to tears. But I'm a fast learner and I love to learn and everything, but I was just in some moment like, I can't believe I'm going to be in this class.
Yeah.
No, I think it was ethics and speech communication. Oh, boy, that's a class of that.
That's a
Ethics,
snoozer.
get it. Ethics, I get it. I've already had 4 years of speech comm, so how do we put these two together? Well, yeah, and you couldn't even get your degree without that class.
Yeah, I have to tell you, your father got his degree in speech.
Yeah.
He got a 4-year degree in speech. Can you believe that? Like, who would take a speech class? Who would even take one speech class?
Well, I'm a good speaker, I guess. Yeah. Or I could have taken athletics and been a jock.
And I did mine. Mine was mathematics.
Yes.
So I got my degree in mathematics with most people. So we would always tease each other.
We do
about-
teach each other. I can talk well about it, and she can measure.
No, I
Count
really
how many
can't.
times I misspeak. So
Like, I know me and Bree, there used to be this little place you could go to make videos, and you'd send them in, and they're contests, and you would win things if you actually won the contest. And me and Bree, we made a video. I think it was like a football video of some kind, and we ended up winning like a 40 to 50 inch TV, something
Yeah.
like that. We won. It was flat inch HD TV.
Wow.
It was just the coolest thing.
We-
So, me and Bree, we don't quite get degrees, but we win TVs.
Oh,
So
we get our accommodations.
who needs a degree when you have a
yeah.
TV anyway,
Our
right?
accommodations.
no,
How
but
funny.
Accolades.
That was-
we get our accolades that way.
yeah, we get our.
We get TVs. Not a degree, but here's a TV.
That was so amazing.
I think you
was
should
so
have a
fun.
TV with a degree. I think every time they give a degree away, they should give you a TV.
TV,
Yeah,
free
all that
TV
hard
with a
work.
degree.
You know what?
Yeah.
Why don't you get some beautiful reward? I never
No, you get a piece of
You know-
paper that says you passed all your classes.
I never understood that. Like, the best way you learn something is by in there actually doing it. So it really should be, colleges should be businesses, and it should be like a business you go to work for. They train you up, and then at the end, you've helped build this business, get something out of it, or
Well,
something.
you have that apprenticeships and trade schools and things like that.
Which-
So the regular
Doesn't
4-year
sound
degree
bad.
colleges, unless you're going into sciences or you're going into some kind of higher level accounting or doctors and lawyers and all that jazz, would you need any of that unless that's your passion? You go for it. But hey, just main subjects that are out there just to get a degree for a degree's sake, I don't think today pays as much. You get a 4-year degree, it doesn't really pay as much as that or one person just has to endorse you, and then boom, you got a job. So it's all about appearances and then who knows you, how well you've done your job in the past, what kind of reputation you've built to get work. Today, I think it's done more that way. So, and there's a lot of jobs out there. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And
Wall Street
more
Journal just mentioned
coming
that there
out.
are more jobs available than there are people to fill them today. So that shows you what the market's like right now. So it's really
Pretty
hot.
crazy.
Yeah.
And like,
Not to change the subject,
Well, you are.
but I am going to do that. Stephanie Hausler asks, she has 3 questions. The first one is, where is Shay? And did she take the goats with her?
Shay is around. She picked up a job and in town in the city, and she actually is going to be moving into our old house there. She's extremely excited. You'll see on this week's video, we've gotten in there and she picked out the paint colors, and you'll see what we've done with the house. And she'll be she's moved in there now, and then she's going to be working in the. She wanted to. Always one of her goals in life was to live out on her own, and so that's what she's doing. She's doing it.
She loves her job. She's happy with life. Life is going good.
She's
for Shay.
doing good, and it's it's fun to watch her. It's fun to help her too. We all jumped in there and helped her get the house ready for her to move in, so it's some roommates, and she's all happy.
Sure. And I know this is not Stephanie's question, but I know we get a lot of questions too about where's Ben, and Ben has moved back home. He has moved to Philadelphia.
Oh, Philadelphia!
And he's doing great. He's got some photography jobs that he's pursuing. We're really proud of him. Coming out here was certainly an adventure,
and we miss him.
And we miss him.
But he's got
But he's doing great up there, So
was really great having him here.
Yeah, for the kind of thing that he wants to do, which is photography, that's really, it seemed to be the best place for him to get those jobs.
Yeah,
and stuff
he wasn't going to get a photography job around here.
Not around here.
Maybe an online.
I don't even know.
Unless he likes pictures of sand.
Here's another picture of brown today. Here's another picture of
another real green. It's a muted green.
And Shay did not take the goats with her. We still have those goats.
No, but she is talking about taking one of the goats, one or two, because she's
a milker, right?
Yeah, she wants to take that. The backyard there is, and actually, it's, believe it or not, it is zoned. There's some people around here that they're. Because it's kind of on the outskirts of the city too, that do have its horse properties around there and stuff. So she can have chickens. She can even have a rooster, and she can have those things. So she's thinking about doing that just so she can have her goat's milk. She loves her goat's milk.
For sure. The third unrelated question is: Did you receive a package from Emma something 4 books back in December? Yes. And we did. We received those books.
Yes,
I know Dad has been going through them. They're really great. I'm hoping I get a chance to do it. I know.
Oh, this is Stephanie.
This is Stephanie, yes.
Okay.
So,
Hi, Stephanie. If you're listening. Great books.
Yeah, great books. And I'm hoping in between learning the ukulele, dulcimer, and saxophone, I might find some free time.
Like you have time. You have time to read.
Jeez, that reminds me. I've got a saxophone. I got to start learning.
Yeah, those are really pretty saxophones you guys bought.
Oh, they're so cool.
Here's the thing. Did you know
you can probably make a lamp
left
out of it
on the on the stand, and I came back the other day and I pulled the mouthpiece
Don't say
off.
this.
Oh, there's mold in there.
There's mold in the mouthpiece.
Oh, you don't want to hear that.
That's wrong.
I
fired it up.
Disturbing.
It's tasty.
We need like a beep through that section. Beep.
I needed some extra greens in my diet.
Some protein.
It's penicillin. You're trying to heal something.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That was a little shocker. I was like, "Ugh! Oh my goodness.
I'm glad you noticed it. It was like, that smells earthy. That tastes earthy.
I'm glad I didn't put my mouth on it until I looked at it. I was just like tearing it down to put it away, and I was like,
wow, that bamboo sure tastes funny.
So, yeah.
Bree's never broken a reed
It tastes just like the forest. Put your schnoz right on it.
The schnozzle.
You know, Bree, you've never broken or worn out a reed yet. I have. But then again, I got it caught on my shirt, so then again.
I've not worn out one.
Okay.
I've cracked the reed on mine. It started to buzz all weird.
Oh, look at you.
Could have been how
I think
was
he did it
playing
like on his clothes, though.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like, I'm pretty sure I witnessed
that's
that.
what happens when you bump it.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, those reeds can break.
So I think that's gonna. Oh, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I want you guys to really get good at your jazz so that you can, I'm starting to beef up my
Do you
bass
think I could do-
guitar skills.
I was going to learn country.
You know
you can
country.
do country and saxophone.
That's
sometimes.
interesting. Can you do
I don't know. I
ukulele
have no
jazzy
idea.
music?
You can do, No, that's
Yeah.
called fusion. We can do anything fusion-wise. Just
Alright.
add jazz to it, and it's called fusion.
I'll take any little music clips you guys can do and put them in the weekly peak. I love
Yeah.
any kind of music you guys can do. We'll put them in there.
Okay, good.
I
I was
wanna
thinking
learn-
about getting a nose flute. I just
That's
wanna know
perfect.
You have one. What are you talking about getting
I can't.
one?
It's broke. have to get another one.
Okay, you broke your nose flute.
I was using it
and you're
too
teasing
much.
Bryson about breaking his feet.
Yeah, I bumped
Really?
it on my shirt. You
know,
go through them so quick that way.
I want to learn the Fortnite dance, or it has the
Yeah.
Fortnite.
Flute player.
Oh, is it a jazz song? All right.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
done on a.
Oh, okay.
And
On
it's
a
done on
saxophone.
a saxophone. I think it's done on a soprano saxophone though.
No. It might be alto.
Oh, it is all alto.
I don't. It might be tenor.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
tenor, alto.
That's
It's
three
one of the
different
two.
saxophones. Which one was it? And they're all three
I'm
different
Pretty
sizes.
sure it's alto.
Yeah.
Does it
that's
have a
one of the
J?
most common, isn't it? Is it
You got
alto?
tenor and alto are the most common.
Yeah, I want to.
Probably.
Speaking of another instrument, I want to do when I conquer the alto, sax. I want to try the soprano sax because
You
I
know?
see that the least. I think it'd be kind of fun.
Kenny G.
Soprano. Isn't
There
that
you
the
go.
low one? Oh no, high.
No, it's the
My-
high one.
my bad.
That's that one. Looks like a overgrown
It
clarinet.
looks like an overgrown clarinet. Let's be
Yeah.
real, but it looks
You know,
fun.
I kept thinking I want to make my own saxophone, like cast it out of aluminum, or 3D print it. One of the two.
This is cool. Do
After
it.
you're
I
done with
wanna
the
play
nylon
it.
strings,
Well,
right?
here's the thing.
I wonder
You
how
would
it-
3D
I like
print.
it.
You 3D print the
Fun.
entire
Yeah, I do too.
saxophone,
Yeah.
and then you can shell them. So I've never done this before, but you can spray a shell on them,
Uh-huh.
a hardened shell,
Oh,
and you
yeah?
flip them upside down and you bake them, and
Two
all the
molds.
plastic melts out of them, and then you pour the mold of aluminum into the shell, and then bust the shell off, or dissolve the shell. One of the two.
If you do that, you got to make a fun color.
I think it would just. I think. What
Sorry.
do you mean?
Paint
What do you mean
it.
a fun color? Paint?
It'd be,
the
yeah,
aluminum?
it's a fun color.
Oh, it's aluminum. Oh, I'm sorry. I
polish
wasn't
it?
listening.
Then you could hydro dip it.
You could hydro dip it. That's true.
See, it
Why
would
don't you
be really
hydro dip
cool,
what you
Bryson.
already
It'd be
have?
super
so
cool.
That's good.
It would be.
Oh,
Would
I'm
be
just,
cool.
I had to draw a saxophone for one of our T-shirts, and it looks so complicated. I
Ugh.
feel like that would be
All of
a
the,
really
like-
intense mold to
Oh,
make.
yeah,
I
those
think-
buttons.
I think it would be better to buy a saxophone, mold the middle of it.
Oh, and then cut it out?
No, just make the middle of it, and then all the controls move them over to your made saxophone.
Oh yeah,
So you
there
just
you
buy
go.
all of the controls
Right.
on it, and you
I mean,
move
you
them
probably
over.
could get all the little components, maybe.
Yeah.
If you could find one like like a one that wasn't working or something, or maybe just a
I don't
used one that's
Yeah, get a
broken
used one.
down or
How
something.
complicated that really could be.
Oh,
It looks complicated, but you just do one thing at a time. You
True.
know, you do
It's not
one
brain surgery is
step
easy
at
to
a
a brain
time,
surgeon.
and then as you build each part, and you copy.
Maybe
You don't try to recreate your own idea. You copy someone else's, so you have.
And
know
maybe
it
you
will
can
work.
buy like all the little, whatever those are called, the button things,
Keys.
the keys. Sorry, buy all the keys like as a kit. Maybe you can buy just a kit of all those.
Yeah,
I
maybe
bet you
get
could.
replacement parts. Maybe. Like what Mom's saying.
Anyway,
I
as a
was
kid,
really
maybe.
playing
They
my
might have
alto sax.
Whole kits.
Out popped the key. So I need a replacement.
I want to do the low saxophone. I want to do
The Barry sax.
the Barry sax.
Baritone.
That's what I want to do is a Barry sax. Or
Oh,
tenor.
I
Yeah,
missed
who's that?
myself. I'm sorry.
There's a
He's
there's a
fine.
Barry sax player out there that's real famous. YouTuber. God, what is his name?
Oh.
Is he the
He's got
beatbox?
the
He got
He-
beatboxes
the
as he
beatbox
plays.
is a tenor.
he has
The-
two
tenor,
colored
that's
hair.
actually more what
He just
I
got
want.
he
Tenor.
played
Sorry,
with
Barry tenor.
he played as
Barry
a
is not.
played in a quartet in New York, and but he was just really entertaining. And now I think he's doing some solo gigs. Gosh, I can't remember his name.
The
Anyway,
YouTube
he
guy.
was good.
The Barry guy.
He's good. The Barry guy. Is that what he's called?
No, I'm just making stuff up.
Yeah, you follow him, don't you?
No.
No.
There's a guy who plays on a tenor and he beatboxes as he goes.
Yeah, he does beatbox.
Yeah,
Saxophone.
I've seen
It
him
sounds
too.
amazing. He also sometimes sings too.
Oh,
Doesn't
does he?
I think he's
His mouth is full. I can't imagine him singing, but
no,
maybe.
he does. No, maybe he doesn't. I
Oh,
can't remember.
okay,
I just
well.
remember he did a lot of things at once,
Very cool.
and he did it out in the freezing cold,
Ooh.
and you could see his breath. And he was like, "Give me a coat." Oh, oh.
I remember seeing those vids.
Yeah, those are very cool. Anyway, that's
look
going to wrap
cool.
it up for us this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We, if you're listening on, we provide this podcast on iTunes Podcasts and coming to me, Spotify. Thank you, and Spotify. So if you're listening on those two platforms and you've never heard of our family and what we do before, we post
Subscribe.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can check out our YouTube channel.
Yep.
My Little Homestead. We produce 3 videos a week. On Monday is our podcast. It's great for listening, chilling out, hanging with us, and we can hang with you as you're doing whatever you're doing.
Snorkeling. That would be good snorkeling. Put the headphones on. Go down snorkeling.
Headphones whilst snorkeling.
While snorkeling.
Naturally,
yes.
obviously.
If you do it while snorkeling, take pictures. I want to see that. So.
Listening to my little podcast. No. And then, of course, we have our recaps, which are just one subject pulled from our weekly peak show, which comes out every Friday night. So Wednesday's the quick one subject recaps in the morning, and then of course the full weekly peak show, 20 minutes, everything that we've done that week type deal. Variety show.
Variety show, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, you can post a comment down below if you're on our YouTube, or of course you can post on a new weekly peak. We always address those questions or suggestions or comments or stories or whatever as well. So we can't do all of them, but we do our best. So thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on Wednesday. Bye.
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 Bye.